What's going on, everyone? Diskin Young here. So there is something that I want to talk about today, and that is WeWork. How did they go from one of the highest valued companies ever as a startup to now being worth 3/4 as much as they originally were? Let's get into it right now. So let's start at the beginning on how WeWork even got started. It was founded by a few members, the main one in this story being Adam Neumann, who was their CEO, and we'll get into more about him later. But he was one of the main driving forces behind WeWork. Before that, he started a few other companies, one being Green Desk, which actually he eventually sold, and then he started WeWork in 2010. Once WeWork started in 2010, from 2010 to 2011, they actually doubled in size, mainly focusing in New York City, and they started gaining attraction and getting new investors from there. Come 2015, they actually had a $10 billion evaluation and 23,000 customers. Their main driving force behind this was they were offering something different that honestly just the world of business was ready for. They created a collaborative work environment for a much lower cost than somebody could go get, and all these smaller companies that much more tech driven were really able to utilize this and still feel a sense of community and culture in their workplace, even if they weren't directly working with those people. WeWork also offered a lot of business opportunity just for people to network and offering a feeling of a startup, even if you were just a one or two man show from there. Up to this point, everything's looking pretty good. Everyone's very excited about WeWork. Then comes 2017, and SoftBank comes into play. SoftBank then invests into the company and brings the evaluation up to $20 billion at that point. Massa, who is the head of SoftBank, talked with Adam and said, "You guys are thinking too small. We want to blow this thing out of the water. We want to be huge. Don't think so small." Then from 2017 to 2018, SoftBank invested $8 billion into WeWork, giving them the ability and the cash flow to go out there and spend money in order to grow, like Massa and Adam talked about before. This led to SoftBank actually investing another $2 billion in 2018, and that brought the evaluation of WeWork up to $47 billion, which was the highest it got to. WeWork being evaluated at $47 billion puts it right up there with any startup that has ever existed, including Uber, all those big ones that you think of. WeWork was right up there with them. This also gave them the cash flow to be able to go out there and spend, and they did exactly that. They spent like crazy. Reckless spending started happening at this point. The issue was they didn't have actually a strategic plan in place on what they're going to do with the money to grow the company, and they started just spending money on ridiculous things. They actually opened a private elementary school. They invested in an indoor wave pool company. They invested in a company that produces superfoods. So all this weird investments into other sectors they started spending money on. Anything that they saw that Adam kind of liked, they were spending money on. Then in August of 2019, the company announced the plans to go public and IPO, which led to bankers and investors being able to look at their books. This was a big issue for them because it showed in the first 6 months of 2019, they lost $690 million, which brought their grand total for the last 3 years of losses of nearly $3 billion. Bankers then started looking at the company and seeing, hey, are they really ready to IPO? Right now, is this company mature enough and a solid enough foundation to even go public at this point? Bankers began putting an valuation of $8 to $12 billion on the company, where SoftBank, when they invested in it, it was invested, paper money, around $47 billion, leading to a big issue for WeWork. The company then began to get worried. They pushed off their IPO, and then they decided they needed a big change in the company. This led to getting Adam off the board and no longer being CEO, a move that he actually even voted on removing himself, saying there was being too much scrutiny put on him and not enough on the company itself. At this point, the new people running the company were 2 board members, and they started cutting expenses like crazy. They sold Adam Neumann's $60 million jet. They stopped investing in all these companies that they were investing in, and they started laying off a ton of workforce. Also, they stopped the elementary school that they originally started. And then this led to another big issue of laying off thousands of workforce, but not having the severance package money to actually pay these companies. So it's one of the first companies you can possibly think of that didn't have the money to even fire their employees. Now, at this point, SoftBank was so invested in WeWork that they decided to bail out WeWork and injected another $9.5 billion into the company. They also said there's no plans to take this company public right now. That $9.5 billion kept WeWork in business, kept them afloat, were able to pay off the employees that they fired with their severance packages, and now it is still going. After that cash injection, WeWork is valued at around $8 billion. So they went from $47 billion at their highest in 2017 all the way down to $8 billion in 2019 with no plans to go public anymore. WeWork is still in a crazy big issue state right now, very uncertain state. People that were there said they don't know what's going on with the company, and they don't really know what the future of the company is going to be. I think this is a perfect example of a company trying to grow too big, too fast, having so much money injected in them that they didn't know what to do with it. They didn't know what the right moves were. They started branching out into sectors they were not even involved in and spending money on weird things. And basically, there's so much money being put into this company that they didn't know what to do with it. So this is a perfect example of trying to go too big, too fast, not having the foundation in place to sustain that growth, and then they fail at the end. So this is a huge success at one point story and then a big failure in the end. I hope you guys like this short synopsis on WeWork. If you like this kind of thing, let me know. I'll try to do a few more of these. These are pretty fun to learn about. I really like learning about different companies, things like that. So also, if you guys don't follow me on Instagram, go ahead and do that at diskin.re. I'll see you guys next time.